I've always battled certain things. One important one that I wrestle with from time to time is the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I would tell them, you're not behind. You're being prepared. The discomfort you feel isn't a warning to stop. It's an invitation to grow.
We have the husband of one of my former employees who has offered, because the whole purpose of why Reflection Point was created is to look at reflection points and times when people have had to make big decisions with conflicting information and family members and, life change, improvement, something that was going to cause more than just a simple, honey, are you okay with this kind of conversation. These reflection points take a lot of time and energy. And so we want to dive in with real people who are on the other side of it. And so kind of backtrack a little bit and take a look at what was the problem, what wasn't going right. You were at a particular reflection point in your career while you were working as a quality specialist in the lighting industry. Tell me what was happening and a little bit about the company and the role that you held.
So the company sat pretty well as far as in that industry, maybe top three in the lighting industry. And I arrived as a basically engineering technician in the test lab, but I saw an opportunity with the quality specialist role. Um,
Yes.
I only had an associate's during the time, so I saw that as a pivot and an opportunity to kind of bridge, some different skills and maybe open up doors. Um, and I
Yes.
wanted to have more exposure to something other than testing and technical work. I wanted to get deeper into maybe design, deeper into the business side, document control, things of that nature.
So
So
you're growing. You're going through a phase where there's some growth going on in here.
yes, yes, most definitely. And the professional side of it was, well, I knew that I had others depending on me. So with my family having my back, my wife beside me and encouraging me, I took the step to apply for the position or put my name in for the internal role, and here we are.
Okay. So that required more than just I'm taking the job, right? There was some other stuff going on there.
Yeah, most definitely. The thing that stood out or that challenged me was I knew I had the skill set and I could learn and improve in the areas that I felt that I was lacking. But what stung me was during the interview process. So really, it was a negotiation process when salary was discussed, and it was brought up that, well, given your education, you're boxed in this salary range,
Ah,
and
bit of a gut kick right there,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, it stung. But what do you do? I'm the sole provider for my family, so I had to take it. But I didn't take it without making a commitment to myself that I'm going to further my education, and henceforth I sought out going for my undergrad.
Once you made the decision that you were going back, kind of tell me about the next 4 years or 2 to 3, 4 years of your life.
It was I'm not going to use the word roller coaster because it wasn't that difficult, because I had made the commitment. My family stood behind me. So as far as scheduling and the work-life balance, that was there. Um, those next 2.5 years, because I completed in 2.5 years, uh, were exciting. When I took the step to go back to school, my employers, especially those at a higher level, directors and VPs, kind of took notice and they applaud me for investing in myself. They encouraged me, and a lot of the sentiment was, no one could take this degree away from you. So, kudos to you, Sergio, for making that step. That was encouraging.
Got to
So
tell you a quick story, quick sidebar story.
go ahead, go ahead.
My father was a man of very few words. And when I was graduating college, I had to do like a term paper report project that I put off and put off and put off. And so I ended up staying an extra semester to work, save money, and get this big project turned in. And I wasn't going to walk because everybody that I was in the sorority with, everybody else had already gone. But my dad sent me one note, and all it said on it was, now you have something that no one can ever take away from you, your
Oh,
education.
having that encouragement from peers and management, it I don't know, it woke something up in me that, well, maybe I can do a little more, maybe it's not just a quality specialist role, intro into quality. Maybe there's more to this. I've always
Yeah.
been, I had an appetite to learn the overall business of whatever industry I'm in. So why not? And, I've
Hey,
always been encouraged that I'm good at managing, I'm good with people. So why not move into the more leadership and the management role?
so now it's like there's a skill set, there's a hurdle, but there's a path on the other side. And so now you're kind of seeing not just, all right, I've got the degree and I have these skills, but you're also seeing I can move into this other tier of leadership within your current company, or are you looking outside yet?
Current, during the time current, but I always have something in my back pocket that, this the skills that I'm cultivating is not just for the company in that moment, they're mine. They're going to go with me. So
Yeah.
whatever that I'm, working on and improving upon myself here can be translated into another field or another industry.
What are you working on right now? Anything that you can talk about, like anything exciting?
Ah, yeah. So right now,
I believe you.
I, it's funny because I just stopped. A friend of mine said, "Sergio, man, you are ambitious. You are very ambitious." So I'm approaching completing my MJ in corporate law. So I'm at Delaware Law online program for my master's of jurisprudence. So should have that completed by the
Is
summer.
that compliance oriented because you're going deeper now because you're going to be able to make some calls on things?
That is the
Authority.
plan. That is the plan, is to complete the complete this program and get this degree, and then eventually I want to take the exam for my certified compliance and ethics professional exam.
I think a lot of organizations have they've moved away from some of the core things that are really that important, like continuous learning, more to the ping pong tables and the kegerators,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So like just making it more freestyle life and not more what do you want to achieve while you're here too, so I have an opinion or two. I think that companies should really be investing in ongoing learning and development and support and family development, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe I have 5 other children that need to come and be a part of the career services industry someday if my employer really wants to make it generational. Maybe I sound like a grandmother right now. It's possible, but I just think that there's some of the things that are human, that because AI is going to be so rapid and people are going to be so much more informed about things, because you can ask a question and get an answer and then validate that answer, and something at that point, right? So there's a really big value to us humans in it if we use it the right way instead of just letting it do everything for us.
Right.
So I think that our education and our continuous way of growing and changing and learning and then applying the human nature to the AI that we've learned, because our emotions about it and where it applies and all of that, I just don't ever see a computer ever taking that away,
You
right? I
can't
hope,
take
I
the
mean, I know
emotion.
there's movies.
Right, right. Yeah, and you can't take the emotion out of people. I mean, that's innate. We need that. It drives decisions, be it good or bad and indifferent. So you got to have the emotions. I think, going back to your point of the ping pong tables and pizza parties and things like that, I think that's where some organizations miss the mark. I mean, for some that's good, but I agree with you. They should invest in those intrinsic values and, personal growth, professional growth, plans that will kind of liven the culture. So to me, that's culture.
Yeah, it's like once you're functioning in your own optimal space, then it bleeds out of you and you can have those synergistic teams with everybody who's operating at their top level. And I think freedom and ping pong are cool. I have nothing against any of the new environments inside organizations that have a ping pong table, but I also think that we as humans have a responsibility to do what you've done. I'm excited for you. Like you made it your mission to be the best you can be, right? To
Exactly.
do to do what you can do.
That's exactly it. And it took me a while, Terry, to get to this point. I know I go and I continue to learn and gain new skills and educate myself. I like learning. But I had to sit with it and realize that, I'm not doing it to compete with someone else. This is not Sergio comparing himself to others because I didn't have the traditional path. I enjoy it. I want to learn. I want to be the best version of myself. And whichever employee, current or,
Yeah.
future employer, is going to get someone who invests in himself and will add value to.
You'll never get old if you keep doing that, I think. I mean, that's what I feel like. It's like there's a an aunt in my family who everyone just thinks is the most hip and cool, and she's like in her 80s. She's the Betty White of our family, you know. She is just but she just doesn't seem old. You're around her and she could be 25. She's
Like
fabulous.
it. I like it.
All right, so I did have a couple of other questions for you. Um, we went over a little bit about the back, but one thing that I do is I have conversations, and I'm going to just jump right all the way to the end here. So, how can someone tell they're at a true reflection point versus just like a hard season that they're in?
I think that varies on the individual. I can speak to myself. I've always been someone who is very introspective. I sit with my thoughts, my feelings. I like to say that I'm in tune with that. Um, Sometimes I'm overly analytical about it, but honestly, I think you recognize that it feels temporary when you are, given the time and effort. And when you sit and you don't place judgment on it, you can start to see a path and you realize like everything is temporary. It's that simple. There's nothing permanent. It's always growing, the ebb and flow of things. And when you can accept that, you realize that, okay, what am I supposed to learn in this situation?
Sure.
What about me needs to grow? Or what about me needs to shed so that I can get to the next level?
That's some sage advice right there, right? Because then you're concentrating on the now. You're paying attention to what's going on with you in the moment instead of, worrying about the future or lamenting over how you could do things differently in the past, right? So you're sitting in your emotions, and I know a lot of people that don't like that. That's hard to do, I believe, and especially in business, because I don't know, for the women that are watching or listening, as women, we are told not to show our emotions because that makes us less I guess it makes us scary to some people, but it also makes us perceived as less effective or less not as strong as we could be if we're emotional. And so I love what I loved about one of who's now my partner, William. He told me once, he said, it's because you're passionate too. Like sometimes that passion bleeds through and it may come across a little interesting, but emotions and dealing with change and trying to make decisions about what you're going to do next. I mean, that's what life is.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
the way
And
through.
you can take the passion, but then you can, complement it with a coworker, peer, or whoever that's more, I don't want to say less emotion. And you take the two and it blends, it helps. It's the ebb and flow, it's the yin and the yang. So I don't consider and I don't believe in overly passionate. You know, I think you are emotion because you are emotion. I think who we are is who we are, and we take that into our workplace. You know, that's just our makeup.
Yep.
So we got to use those tools that we have to, work for us.
And then you find the right thing to be doing, and the right tribe to be doing it with, and you can be yourself. And I think learning is one highway, one avenue to it, right? Because if you're here and you want to get here, if you learn a bunch of stuff, you're going to go somewhere. It may not be here because you might take off for that, and then something happens and it course corrects on the way. But you've moved into this mind frame of willingness to see things differently or to experience things differently and to expect different results for yourself.
That's the key word, willingness. To go to the hard season question that you asked, I think you got to be willing to sit, you got to be willing to listen, and you got to be willing to move and trust. And all of those things come together to get you out of that hard season into the place of, prosperity or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm looking back. Did you guys also move? Like, this wasn't just you taking another job during that time. Didn't y'all move to another state too at some point?
Yeah, yeah. So we moved. My current employer, I was required to relocate to a new state. So it was a big move for the family, and everyone was on board.
Yeah,
Initially, we had one who said, "I don't want to do that. What about this?" But then they
they're
came.
not, they're a teenager and they're at college now.
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. Now they
I
they
have 15 girls. I'm with you. I understand that totally.
exactly.
Um, yeah, and that reinforcement, like having your family behind you and knowing that you're reaching and they're going to benefit from it eventually, but they just believe in you for it, right? Like it's hard at first. It's like you go down before you go up when you make a big change a lot of times.
It is. It's a backpack full of weights, and you realize that you got to be strong enough to carry it. But there's nothing wrong with taking the backpack off and sitting it down for a minute so that you can decompress, regroup, and pick it back up again.
Do you do Tai Chi?
No, I don't do.
Because you seem very, very,
I meditate. I do meditate. I try to sit in silence. I exercise. I work out. I journal.
yeah, me too on that,
I
definitely.
listen to different music, a lot of music without lyrics, so that I can just. But mostly, I like silence. So,
Yeah.
Tanaj and I, we joke. Both of us can just ride in the car with nothing planned, and we may not even have a conversation for the first 20 minutes, but we're good. We're just chilling.
Oh, you found the right one.
Right now.
Oh, what a blessing. And, I have a huge God in my life too. And that is, that's a part of my grounding is to be able to meditate and sit in meditation and prayer and to let whatever's out here not be what's real,
Yeah.
right?
So it's so needed and it's so true.
Especially as things keep picking up. And I don't know about you, but I have been playing with AI a lot and it's killing my brain. I'm like, okay, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And then 3, 4 hours later, my kids are like, hey, it's dinner time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, if you recognize it, okay, maybe I need to take a break. Take a break.
All right, so I've got one big question for you. I know we answered some of these, but we did jump around. Are you good if we just move on? I'm going to ask you the big one about if you could sit down with the version of yourself who was still circling that decision, the one that's not brave enough, or the one that might be watching or listening that's contemplating the same, what would you say to that person?
Hmm. Yeah, that is a good one. So I don't know, because I've always battled certain things. One important one that I wrestle with from time to time is the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So I would tell them, you're not behind. You're being prepared. The discomfort you feel isn't a warning to stop. It's an invitation to grow.
Oof.
Trust the discipline you've built. Invest in yourself sooner, and remember the ceiling you're worried about isn't permanent. It isn't permanent. It's just waiting for you to decide to move beyond it.
That is sage. That is fabulous. And maybe we should all do Tai Chi because I've heard that it's very,
I
very
heard,
good for the soul.
yeah, I heard the same.
Well, Sergio, thank you for letting your wife work with us again, and for everything that you've done to help us launch the interview series that we are going to be doing once a week, with real clients and real people that have gone through reflection points. You're very much appreciated right now. Thank you.
Thank you. You got a good thing going. I like the approach. It seems genuine, so I know it's going to be successful.
Right on. I like that attitude. I'm going to call you again if I forget that. Okay.
Got you.
Okay.